sperm in that, right? Like they're struggling, right? But I love the way that they show that. It's such a good like example of what that whole process looks like.
I feel like the sad thing about the sperm thing is that it's kind of like the baby turtle thing. It's kind of like the whole baby turtle, like, like, like trying to get to the sea thing.
Okay, I got you. When after they're born, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really intense odds. Like if you figure you have 300 million sperm that are typically like entering into a woman's system during intercourse, like typically, right? Only about 1,000 of them make it up into like the fallopian tube. And then only one makes it to fertilize an egg, right? Those are some odds, right? 300 million to 1, right? If you're the one lucky sperm. So I mean, maybe 2 if we're talking about like fraternal twins. So we'll be generous. We'll say 1 or 2, right? But for the most part, we're like 300 million to 1 odds. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we can watch the whole like we know the whole process of what's going on, right? And we're able to watch some of it under like very high powered like machinery, a lot of simulations that have occurred, right? So like it's most of it is like pretty intuitive to understand, and then some of it has been like just through very like intense observation, right? We've learned so much we didn't know for a long time. We had no idea for a very long time, like what happened. But with our technology now, it's not hard to observe as much as it was anymore. Yeah.
In science, like old science textbooks, used to have that diagram of like the little the like sperm cell.
Yeah. How do you mean?
Like it would literally like it would be wait.
You're like, I'll find it, right? Yeah. I mean, we knew so little for so long, right? And then like with more and more advances, like I mean, we just have hit a point where it's so much easier to observe. Yeah.
Now, okay, involved in selection.
Yes. Yes.
It's not first time.
It's not. It used to be that we thought that it was first come, right? Like whichever one was the strongest, they would survive and they would make it. It's actually thought now that the egg selects the sperm that it's going to let enter. Because it has to literally allow that barrier to be broken down for a specific sperm. So a lot of sperm will go up to that like zona pellucida and they'll try and get in and you can't. But then that barrier will be removed for a specific like combination. It's interesting that we have like hit that point in that we can watch in like under like high powered like magnifier like petri dishes, right, where we introduce them to each other. But yeah, there is research now that the egg chooses the sperm, not the other way around. Yeah.
It's possible for a bunch of sperm to produce the egg, let them get chosen.
Yeah, right. That can happen, right? That none of them are allowed to enter. Maybe the sperm aren't viable or like it just doesn't break down. That happens too. And like it's totally possible that sperm and egg meet, but then a million things can go wrong and not allow pregnancy to occur. You're not pregnant when sperm and egg meet. Okay, sperm and egg going together is called fertilization, right? Fertilization is when egg and sperm have combined, but that egg still has to travel down the fallopian tube and implant into the uterine wall before we learn. Yeah.
Like what criteria would
Right.
a even select by?
Right, I need a PowerPoint like presentation of like, right, go ahead, impress me, right? I mean, it's at that point you're looking at like genetic, like whatever signal and like genetic material that they're giving off.
It can tell
Yeah,
like
there, I mean,
what the chromosomes are.
right. So, I mean, the thought is that it like depolarizes for a specific sperm cell. Now, what that sperm cell is specifically, I'm not sure that we know that yet.
Yeah.
But like it's thought that the egg chooses that because for a long time it was like survival of the fittest was the theory. But even if like you introduce a million sperm with one egg, one's going to be selected. Why? I'm not sure. But it'd be interesting to know, right? Like impress me. Right?
I know what the secret formula is.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I thought it was. I mean, I guess maybe if they had textbooks back in the 1600s, there was this theory called preformatism where they thought that this like little miniature version of a human was like inside
Yeah.
the semen.
Okay,
And they called those homunculuses.
okay.
And so their idea was that it would like go into the woman,
Get bigger.
get bigger and big.
That's a funny idea, right? I mean, and we thought the world was flat, right? Like we have so many, like it's just so many interesting ideas. I always think of like that kind of stuff with like the videos we watched. Remember back in chapter 2 where people were like, "Oh yes, the clitoris is a statue in Greece." I mean, we know so much more just with advances. Like that was just something that like you were talking about. We learned within the last like 10 years, like really recent. I mean, that's hundreds of years ago that we've evolved from, but really, that's wild. That's interesting. Like, very interesting. You send that to me. I want to read more. Like, right? I want to be entertained. So egg and sperm meet right together, and we call that fertilization. Okay, so egg and sperm doing that. Now, before pregnancy occurs, right? That, as I said, that sperm then has to travel down the fallopian tube, or that fertilized egg, I'm sorry, and then implants into the uterine wall. At the moment when it implants in the uterine wall, signals go out to a woman's body and they're pregnant at that point. Okay, so now all this stuff can happen naturally through intercourse, or it can happen through assisted reproduction. Okay, so you can get pregnant by having like unprotected intercourse purposefully or maybe even non-purposefully, depending on what your goal is. Or it can happen this way. Now, some people struggle with infertility. Infertility is actually incredibly on the rise in our culture, right? The rates of infertility are very, very high to the point where people are now needing help to get pregnant at times. Not always, of course, but at times the rates are higher. So what we define infertility as is when people are trying to conceive or get pregnant and they've been trying actively for a year. Okay, so they've been trying for a year by timing their menstrual cycles, right? And having intercourse like during this fertile window, maybe even timing ovulation. You can test to see when you're ovulating, test for that hormone, and then you know to have intercourse because your chances are higher. So if a couple has been doing that for a year without getting pregnant, then they have an infertility struggle and might need some help. There are also couples that maybe don't have all the ingredients in order to get pregnant and need assistance, right? So two gay men who maybe hire a woman to carry a baby, that might have one or both of their sperm, depending on the way that they've done the procedure. Or two women who then go out and get a sperm donor, right? Because they don't have sperm. So there's a lot of reasons that people might be infertile. So this can all happen like naturally, or it can happen through assisted reproductive options, if that makes sense. Okay, so I want to mention a few of these options because they're definitely ones that people tend to use. Let me erase this here so I can put them up. So assuming that a couple like is struggling with infertility, there are a couple of reasons why that might happen. So again, they might be missing an ingredient or a piece of anatomy. That could happen. It could be that they have problems with their fallopian tubes. One very common thing that women end up with is they have scarring in their fallopian tubes, which makes it hard for the egg to make its way down. Maybe the uterus isn't shaped quite properly, and it makes it where like implantation doesn't occur. Maybe a man has low sperm count or low sperm viability. All of those things can make it difficult to get pregnant on your own. So one of the things that they typically do if somebody's struggling with fertility is start with things like fertility drugs. There are drugs that you can take that make you produce more than one egg each month. What do you think is the side effect of that? If you have more than one egg? What would you say? It could. Yeah, it could. I was thinking multiples too, right? Where like if you produce, this is where you get the like octomoms where like you have 8 babies because you produced 8 eggs or something like that. But it also does definitely affect your hormones as well. All right. So what often they start with is something like that. Like we'll gather sperm from a man and we will like maybe have a woman take a fertility drug and that can help them to like get pregnant faster. There are things like surgeries to correct problems. So let's say that it is a fallopian tube thing, you could correct that. Or maybe a vas deferens tube is blocked, you could maybe unblock it and correct that. So I have a lot of like I said, if it's okay, can I kind of share our information. Do you mind? Is that okay? I got two nods. That's all I needed this morning. So. But my partner and I, when my partner hit 30, she was like a bomb went off in her head. And she was like, I want babies, like now, right? I'm a year younger, so I wasn't there yet, I guess. But for her, she was all like, I want children. I was like, well, I can visualize, but we're missing like an ingredient, you know? Like, I will try my best, right? But we had a lot of discussion, and we decided that I never wanted to carry. Like, it's not my gender identity in the slightest. I've never wanted to be pregnant. She really wanted to be pregnant. That was an easy decision. But then we were like, we need sperm. Where do we get sperm? Right? And there are a couple of choices, right? If you are struggling with like sperm is the issue, you can ask a family member or a friend, or you can get it from like a cryobank. Okay, I have a biological brother. He's 3 years younger than me. We're very similar. And we thought about asking him, but I didn't want children who were like, my uncle's actually my dad kind of like situation. I didn't want to hate my brother. So we decided to go to like a clinic in California and get sperm, right? Weirdest thing I've ever purchased, sperm, right? $600 to buy sperm. Guys, you're sitting on a gold mine, right? You didn't know. $600. And that was 15 years ago.
Honestly, at that point, why don't you just try to adopt someone?
Right. Well, that's like 40 grand. So,
Wait. What?
and you're not guaranteed, especially as a same-sex couple. So anyway, so our whole journey, we literally went through all of these things, right?
Why do you make adoption so
I know.
ludicrous? It's not like the kids have any parents to come back to.
I have a brother who was adopted from Russia, from an orphanage in Russia. Like my youngest brother, his name's Nikolai. And my parents literally went over and got him out of an orphanage where like nobody was going to pull him from. And it cost them $62,000, something like that. It was absurd. And he's 30, you know,
Yeah.
like, so.
Like seriously though, that's absurd.
I know. That's a whole nother ball of whatever. But so my partner and I decide we want to get pregnant. We do a bunch of research, right? And we go in, and our first assumption was that we just were missing sperm, right? Like everything's fine, we're just missing sperm. So we went to a doctor down in Manhattan Beach. It was right next to a Susie Cakes. So I was so happy because every time we went there, I got cupcakes. So it was like, oh, we have another appointment. What a shame. Right? Cupcakes are good luck, right? Like I had cupcakes constantly. I love cupcakes, right? Side note. So we went in and like we started with the sperm. Okay, so sperm, $600 for sperm. Got this big canister. I strapped it in the car. We like named it. We were like all cute with it, right? $600 with the sperm. And we go into the doctor and he's like, okay, we want to maximize our chances. So we're going to use a fertility drug. We're going to use a drug called Clomid. And what it does is it makes you produce more eggs. Okay, that's $400 for the drug, Clomid. Okay. And then it's $1,200 every single time that you try what's called artificial insemination. It's now typically called IUI, intrauterine insemination. But he was like, okay, so what we're going to do is we'll watch that window. We'll wait for the fertile window. You're going to take the drug, and then we will insert the sperm right through a catheter when it's time. And then it swims up like as if you had intercourse. It swims up and meets the egg, and life is good, right? So we did this 3 times.
Oh, right.
With no luck, right? My math people out there, right? I don't know what that is. It's a lot, right? So that's 1,000, right? That's
6,600.
Thank you, right? You did that so quickly. Very beautiful. 6,600 plus the cupcake fees, right? So it's 9,000. No, I'm just kidding. Right? A lot of cupcakes, right? So we did this 3 times. Okay, so months of we got the sperm, we got the Clomid, we timed it, we did the intrauterine insemination, IUI, nothing. Okay, lots of cupcakes, right? Yeah.
I was gonna ask, I was like, isn't the IUI not guaranteed every single
Oh,
time?
not at
That's
all.
So crazy.
Not at all. It's very low because basically it's the equivalent of like you take the sperm and you put them into the vaginal canal, and then they have to make the swim and do everything from there. Okay. Yeah. So not at all. The chances actually are like 20-something%.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I never really knew about this whole process.
Yeah. There's so much more to share. Yeah.
I'm curious if you pay all the front, you want to do
You can usually finance it. We did credit cards. Oh, we've just gotten started here. We've just gotten started. I'm sad to say this was, my children were very, very expensive. And I overpaid for Paisley. I overpaid for one of them. I'm like, she was so mean this morning. I'm like, side note, right? Was there another hand over here? Did you have a question? Did you have a question? I thought you had your hand up. Okay. Okay. So we did all of that. As a side note, when we picked our sperm, we made PowerPoints because when you pick your sperm, you don't get their actual picture. You get their childhood pictures. You get their celebrity lookalikes, their genetic like makeup, what they're like prone toward and whatever. We made like all these PowerPoints. We gave them to everybody. Everyone voted. We picked the one that was closest to me as possible. Okay. Since we're using my partner's eggs. So we found someone with brown hair, brown eyes, same like ethnicity, height. Interests were a plus if we could find it, but like we found someone as close to me, even their baby picture and mine look similar. And so we're like, done, right? Cupcake to him, cupcake to me, right? We never met this person. It's completely like anonymous through, like they had a number through the sperm cryobank system. Okay. So 3 times of this, the doctor, who was a complete jerk, told my wife it was because she was too fat.
Bro.
I was so mad. I was all like, I'm gonna punch you in the face, you old, like, whatever. He was so mean to her. Told her it was because she was too heavy. But let's do some tests just to make sure. So we did some tests. Turned out my partner had completely blocked fallopian tubes. Okay, so we could have done this 5 million times. It would never have worked. Should have started with these tests. But the tests, the stupid test, right, was $4,800 for what's this test. What they do is they go in and they make sure that your fallopian tubes are open, that your uterus is like correct. Everything is possible to get pregnant, right? As HSI, it stands for something, forget it. You don't need to know anymore. But we did this test, comes back, everything is completely blocked. So she has surgery. The surgery, bargain basement, $50. We have good insurance. $50 for the surgery, just our copay, right? Cheapest thing that we did the entire time was the surgery, right? So we do the surgery, has her fallopian tube severed. Okay, so what that means is no matter what, this is no longer an option. You can no longer do IUI because it's just not an option anymore. Okay, so what we had to do from here is do something called IVF, which we'll get to. I have on the slide here in a moment, right? So IVF, or in vitro fertilization, is when you bypass all of this and you do a more involved method. Now, she wanted to go back to like homophobic guy who thought she was too fat. We found a guy here in Thousand Oaks. We have one of the top 10 fertility centers in the world in Thousand Oaks. And so we went there. He was super nice, super friendly, and we went with him from there for the rest of it. So now we're like, okay, we've had surgery. We've done all this. What are we at? Like
11,000.
I knew you would have it. 11,000 what?
450.
450. Okay. All right. So we're at that. And now we start over with IVF. IVF, incredibly involved, but much more successful. Okay. So what you do with IVF is you give someone injections for an entire month. Right? You inject them with hormones to make them grow more eggs. And then right before they ovulate, you surgically remove those eggs with a very long needle from the ovaries. And then you use a little dish and you introduce the sperm into the dish and they fertilize the eggs. And then you pick the fertilized eggs and put those into the uterus. You bypass everything, right? So way higher success rates, but very, very expensive to do. $12,000 per try. Okay, that does not include the hormones that you inject yourself with or somebody with. Every month to do the hormones, those are about $4,000 for the hormones. Okay. So you buy the hormones every single day you inject, they cause you to grow a bunch of eggs, and then they surgically remove them. Okay, so we did this 2 times. Okay, 2 times. What is that? 12,000 to 24, 32, 36? 36, right?
Wait.
Check me, just this. Don't worry about the
just
check.
that
Yeah.
2 times.
36, right? 12 and 12, 24,
That's
32.
No, wait,
24, so 12 and 12 is 24,
or
28, 32. I was close, 32, that's what I wrote originally. Right. 32, so $32,000 to try twice. Now, at this point, we've been trying for over a year. We're at like 33,000 something dollars. And we're like, we're never, just maybe we should just adopt, right? Like, it's not gonna happen. This doctor was like the kindest guy ever. He looked at us and he's like, I have an idea, but you guys have to think outside of the box. And if you're open to it, I think I can make this work. And I was all like, what? Well, that's a sketchy thing to say to someone. I'm like, no, you're not taking my wife home with you. Like, so we did all of this with my partner's eggs, donor sperm, everything. He's like, so now he looks at me and he's like, it's your turn. And I was like, I don't want to carry a child. I was like, I know in my heart, like if I got pregnant and my partner didn't, one, that would ruin me. Like, just imagine the complete opposite of your gender identity. Like, I could never have done that. And if I could do it and she couldn't, that would have like ruined our relationship. He's like, I don't want you to carry the baby. We're going to grow your eggs instead. And so my partner was like, oh, I get to inject you every single day for a month. Like, she was so excited. Like, it was ridiculous. And so we tried one more time, but this time I went through everything. And so every day I got injected with hormones. Every day, like all of that. I grew the eggs. I had to go for ultrasounds every like 2 weeks or every 2 days. Sorry, not 2 weeks. It was like every other day. It was so frequent. And then they removed the eggs from me. Now, every time we did this for my partner, she grew 5 to 6 eggs. Dude, who knew in life? I have a secret skill, people. I am an egg grower. I grew 50 eggs. Right? The dog, like, he went to do the first time, I'm like, watch, I'll grow 50. And he's like, you have 50. I'm like, told you, right? Like, I grew a ridiculous number of eggs, like so many eggs, hidden talent, right? And so they removed the 50 eggs from me. I hyperstimulated because that's a ridiculous number of eggs. I was sick for like 2 weeks. But we removed all these eggs. I tell my kids all the time, it was a sacrifice. You're not allowed to eat any kind of chocolate or caffeine while you do this. I grew all those eggs without caffeine and chocolate. No cake, no cupcakes. There's no cupcake near this place, right? Like, I was very unhappy. So we go through this whole process. We remove 50 eggs, okay? And then we go back to this, okay? And we find a new sperm donor to represent my partner, okay? Her hair color, her eye color, her ethnicity, her interests, everything. And then we introduced those sperm with my eggs, right? And we ended up with an incredible number of like fertilized eggs that we could use. We had so many. We were egg rich, right? Like, it was ridiculous. And so we did this all one more time. So that's another 16,000, right? Like, dollars all together. Like, if you're adding this up, right, we're at a lot. Maya, look at you. You got your calculator out? Like, what are we at all together here? 16 plus 32 plus 11, 450. So that's 48.
59, 450.
Thank you. So let's just round it to 59, right? $59,000. Okay, so after all of that, right, like, we remove all of the eggs, we fertilize them with mine. We put one of my eggs fertilized with a sperm donor to represent her, and one of her eggs with a sperm donor to represent me inside of her uterus, pregnant, right? We cried, right? Like, just tears. Like, one, it took all this. Like, we had credit card debt for 15 years from this, right? Like, took $59,000-ish, plus all the cupcakes, so 60,000 roughly, and all the tears, right? And we end up with one. We actually were pregnant with twins for 2 days, and then we ended up with one, our daughter Kaya, right? So the crazy thing is we still to this day don't know if it's my egg with a donor to represent her or her egg with a donor to represent me. She looks just like me, so I'm pretty sure Kaya is my egg. But then we did this all again the second time. It was like my twins were bargain basement. Like, they cost one round of IUI. They were like $4,800 for the two of them, right? So the second time we went to get pregnant, we had all these frozen blastocysts. And so we took 2 of mine and 1 of hers, and we put them in, and we ended up with twins, right? And they are unique in that they are fraternal twins that aren't genetically related, that were born together, right? They look nothing alike. I'll have to find a picture while I show you a clip of like all of them and us, and you can make up your mind. But we're pretty sure that like 2 of them are my genetics and 1 is hers. 1 looks just like her, 1 looks just like me, and then Paisley, I don't know, right? We're not sure. Paisley's on my shit list today, so I don't know. Paisley is someone else's. Anyway, but I mean, we went through this whole process. We literally like did almost all of this. And so like there are a lot of ways you can do this. Now there are even ways they've come up with ways where you can take 2 eggs and you don't even need this one anymore. But it is so astronomically expensive and still in like its early stages. But there are different ways now. You can sometimes even select the sex of the baby now for an extra like $8,000 or whatever. We didn't care. We're like, if they're healthy, we don't care. Like, I'm not spending any more money unless it's on cupcakes, right? Like, I'm not. Like, and so that was our journey, $59,000 for 1 kid, and she's with them. I love that kid so much, right? The other 2, I don't know, we might have yeah.
So I have a question. So what was the point of the surgery?
Yeah.
Partners tubes tied if like they weren't usable anyway.
So what happens is if they are damaged, they can actually leak. And that leak can make it harder to get pregnant because it's like toxic to the uterine environment. So they had to cauterize and sever the fallopian tubes to make it where that didn't interfere. Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Like is I guess more personal, but like would you ever get like a genetic test to see?
No, like no point. Like, I mean, it doesn't really matter to us.
It's like a fun thing. It's more fun not.
Yeah, but I mean, it's become a joke in our family because our oldest Kaya, she's always like, man, one of my feet is bigger than the other. And she'll look at me and be like, thanks. Like, you know, or she has like crazy curly hair and like I did when I had longer hair, which will never happen again. And she's always like, thanks for that. Like every time something goes wrong, she looks at me like, thanks for that, the genetics, you know? And so like, it's kind of like, you can kind of tell, except for Paisley. Like, it's interesting. She's very similar to I feel like I picked on her today. I'm glad of it. Right? She's very similar to her older sister. But she's the most like of the 3. Like Emma is very much like my partner, and Kai is very much like me. And Paisley has the most like donor, like other. It's interesting because we'll be like, where did that come from? It's such a great nature like study because she's very personality and looks wise different from the other 2. It's interesting. Any other random questions? Don't ask me how many cupcakes I ate because I don't know. A lot of cupcakes, and we have so many pictures of all of this, and it's like me every time holding a cupcake. Right, the process of pregnancy, cupcakes, right? So again, all of this is something that is definitely possible. The other thing that can sometimes happen, surrogate parenting. So let's say you have 2 people who don't have a uterus that they can use, whether it's that the uterus doesn't work, or they are 2 men maybe who don't have like a uterus between them. So surrogate parenting, you go through all of this and then you put that fertilized egg into someone else. So it's still your genetic baby, but you need a donor egg. Donor eggs are way more expensive than donor sperm because people create sperm very easily. Eggs take 1 a month and it's a huge process. As a side note, you can donate your sperm. Right, and get paid to do so. They pay you to donate your sperm and store them and have people who need it
Everywhere?
access it. What was that? Everywhere?
Wait, no, like they pay you everywhere to donate sperm.
Oh, usually, yes. So like, okay, so California Cryobank, for example, I want to say I had somebody last year. One of the options for the assignment is picking sperm, and he asked me, like picking a donor, right?
Yeah.
He was like, can I be? And so for the assignment, he went and he got paid $300 for his sperm. And then they like did a whole, like they do a bunch of screening and gather a bunch of information. But they pay you to donate regularly and then you're on file and you can choose whether or not you want the people to know your identity or not, whether it's open or closed. So that is an option too. Yeah.
I'm a little crazy circuit.
Okay.
Really funny. This is my best friend's mom in the hospital.
Okay.
So when she was like in her very early 20s, she was with this guy. We'll call him Val. That's not his name. We'll call him Val. And she was like dating Val, and she had this like best girlfriend, and like they would like hang out the three of them, and then she found out that Val was cheating on her with the girl, and then she was like, oh, okay, well, like, my heart's broken, like, I'm gonna break up with Val. Then a couple like years later down the road, she gets a message from Val, and he's like, hey, I'm gay. And I was wondering if I could like, hook up with you, and then you could have the baby so that me and my partner can have a child. And she was like, no.
Poor Val, right? That's wild, right? And like as a side note, you don't actually have to like I mean, obviously it's one way cheaper way, right? Like you have sex with this individual and then it's complicated, right? Because then you're biologically related and to the like baby and whatnot. Or it could be completely done in a medical facility with no intimacy whatsoever with a stranger. The range is all over. That's wild, right? Interesting. Poor Val, right? Yeah.
Yeah, wait. I had a question, but I think, wait, I was gonna ask, oh yeah, I was gonna ask, is there actually a limit? Cause I've heard that there's a limit to how many times you can donate sperm,
Yeah,
so that it prevents like accidental incest from happening.
sure. Yeah, they do keep track. And
Okay.
there is a limit, I think, of the number of times they can use your sperm before it's removed from like the list,
Do
right?
you know like about how many times?
I don't, but you could, if you look it up, if you find out, let me know, right? But they do limit it just within an area to create like to avoid issues like that. Yeah. You do, right? So you can donate an egg and it's thousands and thousands of dollars that they give you for egg donation, but it increases your chances of cancer like astronomically. Bless you, the hormonal issues are a lot. It causes menstrual irregularities and the procedure to remove the eggs, they literally take a needle that's about this long and they go up through your vaginal canal and remove each egg individually. It's a lot. You're out. You're out for the procedure. So just, it is a lot that you get paid, but you are doing a lot for it, and there are a lot of risks. Right? Yeah, did you have a? Sure. Yeah. Wow, yeah.
They all like that kind of changed up the doctor was doing
Oh my gosh, yeah, right? Yeah, no, then the ethical issues with that, oh my gosh, right? Like, what a nightmare, right? And like, it's scary. I mean, the whole process is kind of like scary. It's all happening on such a like microscopic level. But I have a clip of surrogate parenting. Let me share this for you. Great movie related to it. Oh my gosh, I just forgot the name. Baby Mama, right? Like the whole movie is about like that process. Yeah, well, I get it. Okay.
So I looked it up.
Yeah.
There's actually no.
G in your system, and then you're pregnant or not, right, depending on that. So the tricky thing is she does a couple of things wrong. You actually shouldn't drink any fluid before you do this because it's going to dilute the urine and make the test more likely to be wrong. You should also do it first thing in the morning when you wake up, when your urine is the most concentrated, because that is when it's more likely to be accurate. So if you use them in the proper way, typically these things can detect, they say early, right? They can detect within like 5 to 10 days after intercourse has taken place, whether or not you are pregnant. And then again, if one of these comes back positive, oftentimes people will test again or go and do a blood test. And the blood tests are by far the most accurate because they'll tell you the exact amount of HCG in your system. Sometimes if the number is really, really high, they can actually tell that you're having multiples already from the number of HCG in your system. Especially if they know when the date was, like if they know that you did a transfer, like a IVF procedure on a certain day, like we knew we had twins 6 days after because the number was so high compared to the first time. So where we'll go here from here next time when I see you is we'll talk about like now you're pregnant. We'll look at the process of development of that embryo, like all the way through up to being a fetus. We'll go through labor and delivery and all of that kind of stuff next time. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll stop there and I'll pick up there on Wednesday.
Have a nice day.
You too. Very good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, perfect. I forgot that.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Could you tell me